Elon Musk has always been a symbol of rationality and data-driven decisions. Every day, he faces relentless challenges at work, from endless meetings to seemingly unsolvable problems. In a world filled with numbers, formulas, and calculations, sometimes he has to face a harsh reality, when the power of reason cannot solve the emotions and exhaustion of life. Today, everything seemed to have surpassed his limits. Back-to-back meetings, mounting technical issues, and outside, the world continued to demand answers that Elon had no idea where to find. Facing the invisible expectations of society, he felt tired and overwhelmed by everything around him. Driving home, with thoughts swirling like waves, he tried to find an escape for his mind. Each time he thought of work, the looming deadlines and unfinished creations, it only made him feel heavier. But suddenly, as his car passed by a narrow street, something unusual made him slow down. A small, humble church appeared in the midst of the quiet space of the neighborhood. Elon was not a religious person. It had been years since he had entered a place of worship, and he didn't really believe in rituals or divine stories. However, today, an invisible pull made him unable to ignore it. Perhaps it was the exhaustion, or simply a strange feeling wanting to find a place to stop, to relax in silence. Before thinking too much, he pulled over, turned off the engine, and stepped out of the car. It should be fine, he muttered to himself. Just for a moment. And so, Elon walked into the church, seeking a moment of peace in his long and tiring day. If nothing else, at least he could find some silence, something that modern life rarely provides. The old wooden door creaked as he opened it. The entire space inside was still, only the warm light from dim lamps casting a sense of peace, as if time had stopped here. The church was small and simple, with wooden pews facing an empty altar. A faint scent of burning candles lingered in the air, adding to the unusual tranquility. Elon's footsteps echoed in the space, each step light, as if not wanting to break the silence surrounding him. Suddenly, he stopped. In front of him sat a little boy, a child sitting alone, quietly in the darkness of the church. There was no one next to him, no sound except for his soft breathing. He sat still, his eyes fixed on the altar, his small hands clenched tightly, his feet dangling, gently swaying like a leaf in the wind. The scene made Elon unconsciously halt. A strange feeling enveloped him. There was something peculiar in the loneliness of the child that made him unable to move. What was this boy searching for? Had he simply wandered in here by accident? Or was he waiting for someone to come and pick him up? With gentle steps, Elon approached, trying not to startle the boy. He stopped about a meter away and spoke, keeping his voice soft and warm. "Hello? Young one. Are you here with anyone?" The boy looked up, his eyes wide and bright like two shining beans. After a brief silence, he shook his head, his mouth slightly open but not saying anything more. "Not with anyone?" Elon repeated, a bit surprised. "Did you come here alone?" The boy nodded, the silence still enveloping both of them. Elon looked at him, a strange feeling making him hesitate for a moment. A 5-year-old sitting alone in this vast church. It was hard to believe. "Would you like me to sit next to you?" Elon asked, his voice warm, trying to make the boy feel at ease. The boy didn't say anything, just gently moved to one side, making space for him. Elon sat down, feeling the quietness of the room seemed more comforting with the presence of another person. But what made him uneasy was not knowing how to start this conversation. "What's your name?" Elon asked, trying to open gently. "Ben," the boy replied, his voice clear, eyes focused forward as though he was thinking about something. "Ben. That's a nice name." Elon smiled, feeling warmth in his heart. "Nice to meet you, Ben." Are you the one who works with rockets? Ben suddenly asked, his eyes lighting up, his gaze shining like the stars. I heard that. Yes. I work with rockets, Elon replied, feeling a strange sense of interest that someone cared about his work. Are you interested in rockets? Rockets, they're amazing, Ben said, then suddenly stopped, his eyes showing a hint of confusion. I don't understand much about them, but my dad says he'll teach me when I get older. Elon smiled, feeling joy at the curiosity in the boy's eyes. You can start learning right now. There are lots of books about space and rockets for kids. You'll like them. Ben shook his head lightly. I like football more, the boy said, his voice a bit shy but decisive. Oh, really? Elon laughed, sitting more comfortably. I like football too. Do you play? I don't play on a team, but I play with my dad when he's not busy, Ben admitted, his eyes lighting up when talking about the football games with his dad. So, what's your favorite football team? Elon asked, curious. Broncos, Ben answered immediately, his voice full of enthusiasm. My dad says they're really strong. They have great players. Elon couldn't help but laugh, feeling joy spread in his heart. You picked the right team. The Broncos have legendary players. The conversation continued like this, meandering from football to Ben's favorite cartoons. From the toys he wanted for his birthday to the football games he played with his friends in the neighborhood. Elon clearly felt that, even though this was just a child sitting alone in the church, Ben brought him an oddly comforting sense of peace. This boy, with his bright eyes and pure smile, was like a fresh breeze sweeping through the stillness, dispelling all the worries and tension in Elon's heart. Elon couldn't help but speak, his voice low and gentle, trying not to frighten the boy. Are you here alone? He asked, looking directly at the boy, wanting to make sure he wasn't misunderstanding. Ben looked up, his innocent eyes not avoiding Elon's gaze. He nodded naturally, without any sign of fear. Yes. I'm here alone, he replied, his voice calm. But there seemed to be something Elon couldn't fully understand. So, what are you doing here? Elon asked again, curiosity and concern growing within him. Ben lowered his head, his hand twisting the edge of his shirt, as if trying to find a way to express something hard to say. After a moment of silence, he spoke, his voice growing softer. I want to pray, he said. Elon was slightly surprised. This boy was just a child. How could he think of praying alone in such a strange place? Who are you praying for? He asked, his curiosity not letting go. The question made Ben silent for a while, his eyes becoming sad. I'm praying for my mom, Ben said quietly, but each word seemed to come from deep within his heart. My mom is sick. She's very weak. When he heard that, a heavy feeling enveloped Elon. How is your mom doing? Is there anyone who can help? He asked, trying to keep his voice from revealing his confusion. Ben looked down at the ground, his voice even softer. Mom can't get up anymore. She lies at home all the time. And my dad goes to work to buy medicine for her. She's not well. She said that, but I don't really understand. Each word from Ben felt like sparks striking Elon's heart, making him feel a lump in his throat. Can you ask your grandmother for help? He asked. But Ben immediately shook his head. My grandmother is too old, Ben replied, without hesitation. She takes care of Mom when my dad is at work. She prays a lot. All day she just prays. That answer made Elon feel a deep sadness. This boy, although young, had already understood the pain in his family and found a way to face it. Do you think your grandmother needs help? Elon asked, his voice soft but full of concern. Ben nodded, his eyes lighting up. I think so. She always prays to God for Mom to get better. But I feel like if I pray more, maybe God will listen more. Ben's simple but sincere words made Elon's heart ache. The boy was just a child. But he carried a huge worry. A fear he couldn't put into words. So you came here to pray for your mom, right? Elon asked, his heart filled with emotion. Yes, Ben replied, his eyes following the candles burning in the church. I don't know how to pray. But my grandmother said you just need to talk to God. I just want Mom to get better. Elon was silent for a moment. His words caught in his throat. A child, still too young to understand everything happening around him, could think of doing something as noble as this. You're doing the right thing, Ben. Elon finally spoke, his voice soft but full of respect. Your mom will surely be very proud of you. Ben looked up at him, his eyes suddenly shining brightly. Do you really think so? He asked, the innocence in his voice making Elon's heart tighten once again. I'm sure, Elon replied, gently but firmly. Even if you think you're not praying in the way others do, just being here, thinking about your mom, that already means so much. With these words, a miraculous light seemed to glow in Ben's eyes, making Elon realize that sometimes the simplest and most sincere actions have the greatest power. Elon sat quietly, his deep gaze following the boy standing in front of the altar, where the flickering candles burned in the still air, lighting up the quiet space around them. The boy, only 10 years old, yet carrying a strength that made it impossible for Elon to look away. In the faint light from the candles, the boy seemed much smaller than the weight of his soul's burden. For the first time in his life, Elon deeply felt the pain of a child facing a challenge no one at that age should have to bear. Although he didn't know Ben, the invisible strength in the boy's eyes, the unshakable determination, made Elon's heart ache. Do you think you'd feel lighter if we prayed together, Ben? Elon spoke, his voice soft, almost tentative. Ben looked up, his eyes lighting up, and on his face, which had been tense, a smile flickered, full of surprise. You would really do that? Elon smiled, feeling genuine relief for the first time. If it brings you some comfort, I wouldn't hesitate. Ben smiled wider, the childlike excitement spreading in his eyes. My grandmother says the more people pray, the more clearly God hears. If you pray with me, Mom will definitely get better soon. Elon nodded gently. Although he didn't exactly believe in this explanation, no one could deny the absolute sincerity in the boy's words. An indescribable feeling washed over Elon, as if the boy had given him a lesson in faith and resilience. Then let's do it together, Elon said, his voice carrying a certainty that even he didn't fully understand. The two of them bowed their heads, sinking into the stillness of the moment. Elon didn't know where to begin. But he had learned one thing, sometimes. Just being there for someone, listening, and sharing, makes every worry, no matter how big, feel lighter. In that space, Elon prayed not only for Ben's mom but also for himself, hoping to find the strength to continue facing even greater challenges. When they stopped, Ben lifted his head, his eyes filled with faith. I feel lighter now. Thank you, Uncle, the boy said, his voice full of gratitude. And this time, his smile truly touched Elon's heart. Suddenly, Ben rushed into Elon's arms like a child who had found a place of refuge. And Elon embraced the boy, a warm sensation spreading throughout his body. Everything the boy had just said, everything the boy had just felt, all served as a reminder to Elon of love, resilience, and the immeasurable power of faith. A long time later, Elon gently pushed the boy away, placing his hand on Ben's shoulder. Do you want to go home? He asked, his voice warm but firm. Your mom might be worried. Ben looked at him, his eyes a little surprised, as if he hadn't expected anyone to care about his safety so much. Will you really take me home? Of course, Elon replied, his voice full of protection. It's not safe for you to be here alone. After a moment of silence, Ben nodded gently, feeling the comfort of knowing he didn't have to face everything alone. Yeah, my house isn't far. The two of them stepped outside, immediately feeling the coolness of the night air surrounding them. The sun had set long ago, but the sky still had scattered faint stars, like sparkling gems in the dark. Elon looked up, letting his thoughts flow freely. Would Ben ever look up at the sky and wonder about the vast universe, as he had done when he was young? Ben, walking beside him, light as a breeze, asked a question with an eager tone, his bright eyes looking up at Elon. When do you think we can make rockets fly even faster? Elon smiled, answering with confidence in his voice. That's one of the goals we always pursue. We never stop creating to make things faster and more efficient. In fact, maybe one day, you'll be the one to figure out how to make them fly even faster. Ben laughed joyfully. I'll make them fly to other planets in just a few seconds. Elon looked at Ben with satisfaction. Thank you for giving me hope. With imagination and passion, nothing is impossible. They continued walking, talking about everything from rockets to soccer, each step light and full of excitement. After a while, Ben pointed to a small house with soft yellow light shining through the windows. That's my house, Ben said, his voice full of pride. Grandma's probably waiting for me. Elon nodded, gently saying, Let's go there then. As they neared the house, the door opened, and an elderly woman appeared on the porch, her face showing clear concern. But when she saw Ben, her face lit up, and she sighed with relief. Finally, you're home, she said, her voice a little tired but full of love. I was so worried about you. Ben lowered his head and apologized. I'm sorry, Grandma. I just went out for a bit. Wanted to pray for Mom. The woman turned to look at Elon, her eyes filled with gratitude and a little surprise. Thank you so much for bringing the boy back. He always tends to run off without saying anything. Elon responded with a light smile. It's nothing. I just wanted to make sure the boy was safe. If you need any help taking care of her, don't hesitate to contact me. She shook her head gently. You're very kind, Mr. Musk. But we can manage. We have a son, and he always does his best to help. We're doing fine. Elon looked at her with a determined gaze. I understand. But this isn't just about her. It's also about Ben. He told me about the struggles his father is facing. It's clear that he loves his family very much. If he could spend more time with his family, things would be better for everyone, especially for Ben. Her face seemed to crumble under the weight of her sadness. Her hands clenched the business card, but it couldn't hide the emotions rising within her. She looked at Ben, tears almost unable to stop falling. You're a good man, she said, her voice choked. But I can't make decisions without talking to my son. He's the only one who can carry this family right now. Elon gently pulled a pristine white business card from his jacket pocket, its gold-edged border reflecting the light of the night. He handed it to her, his eyes filled with determination. Please give this card to your son. I don't want to pressure you, but I hope you understand that I truly want to help. I will wait for a call from him. She took the card, her hands still trembling, but in her eyes, there was deep, profound gratitude. She couldn't find the words, just nodded quietly, the appreciation unspoken. At that moment, Ben looked up at Elon, his bright eyes full of hope. Mom will get better, right? His voice sounded like a hopeful question the whole world seemed to be waiting for the answer to. Elon bent down, his gaze warm and gentle, as if wanting to pass all his trust onto Ben. Your mom will recover. Ben, you did something very important today. Everything good you do will bring results. The boy couldn't contain his joy, his face lighting up, and he immediately ran to hug his grandmother tightly. I knew it, Ben said, his voice full of confidence. I knew Mom would get better. Elon stood up, looking into the loving eyes of the boy, and then turned to the woman, nodding. I wish you good health. Remember, if you need anything, I'll always be ready to help. She didn't say anything, just looked at Elon with infinite gratitude. Thank you so much, she whispered, her voice breaking with emotion. Elon waved gently at Ben, and the boy waved back, his eyes bright with intense belief. Elon walked away, getting into the car in silence, his heart heavy yet filled with an indescribable sense of peace. As the car rolled away, he couldn't help but think about how a simple gesture, an offer from a stranger, could bring such great hope. Have you ever found yourself in such a situation? When a stranger reached out to help you in a difficult time? Would you open your heart and accept that help? Or would you hesitate? Just like the grandmother in this story? We would love to know your thoughts. Please share your feelings in the comments below. Don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you won't miss out on the inspiring and meaningful stories we bring to you every day. Turn on the notification bell to receive our latest videos, helping you relax and reflect on life's values. We are happy to accompany you in every moment. Please note that this is just a fictional story, created with the intention of delivering meaningful messages and providing you with moments of entertainment. All situations and characters in the story are products of imagination,